How's it going, everybody? I wanted to engage with something Paul Vanderklay said in a recent video of his. Many of you will be familiar with Paul and his work. If you're not, he's a Christian Reformed minister. He's a YouTube influencer, and I'm sure he'll love being called that. But he does have a lot of influence, and he's an early adopter as a person using the tools of YouTube to create community. And so Paul is a very interesting person for me because this is something I wanted to experiment with this channel. Is dialogue possible? And what I realized is that there's a lot more possible than even I realized when I started this channel. And so I want to listen to Paul's thoughts here.
This area of question with respect to Christianity is very much unsettled. And people don't quite know what to do with the church. What is the church for? What is its purpose? And not just what is its purpose generally, but what would its role be in my life? There was a major article that came out in the Atlantic magazine, The True Cost of Church Going, of the church going bust. Many Americans seem to have found no alternative method to build a sense of community. Maybe religion, for all of its faults, works a bit like a retaining wall to hold back the destabilizing pressure of American hyper-individualism, which threatens to swell and spill over into its absence. It was a relatively short article, but there have been thousands of studies made about the benefits of religion, most of them in the West, most of them about Christianity, and all of those struggles, all of those surveys, almost all those surveys find religion to be a vitally important part of people's individual lives and the community together. And so now that churches are closing at an astounding rate, people are getting nervous. Young people who are fleeing religion faster than older Americans have also seen the largest decline in socializing. Boys and girls ages 15 to 19 have reduced their hangouts by more than 3 hours a week. There's no statistical record of any period in U.S. history where young people are less likely to attend religious services, and also no period where young people have spent more time on their own. Is it any wonder we have all of these surveys that say Americans are lonely? And especially young people? We thought that having all of these screens and social media and phones in front of us would make us not lonely because we're reaching out to people in them. But it's sort of like drinking salt water. The more of this social media stuff we get, the lonelier we get. And we're lonely, so we do more, and we get lonelier still.
And some of you know that I work in student ministry, and so this hits me in a particular way. I think that one of the struggles that I've had is a tension between not wanting young people to spend their whole lives with their face stuck in a screen, but also acknowledging the fact that they find genuine community there in a way that I don't, even though I'm kind of a digital native. They're far more native to the digital landscape than I am. And is what they're finding true community? And that's a question that remains to be seen. I think that by and large they're not. But I don't think that's the fault of the platform necessarily. I think that's the fault of how we're using the platform, how we're using the tools that are at our disposal. Are we being shaped by these tools more than we are shaping the tools for our own purpose? And there's a scale problem that's happening as communities get bigger and bigger and bigger. Our individual place in and amongst those communities becomes harder to understand. We're not a tight-knit tribe as much as we were in the past. And so what is the thing that's going to help us scale up to this sort of global community and still be able to locate ourselves in that community? Now, if you recognize this, please let me know, because this is the realm. This is one of the early online multiplayer role-playing games. Okay, so as the internet became a tool for humanity to use, there was already this deep desire to create community and connection identity, purpose, adventure. We're shaping the tool to find community. And of course, Paul and myself, we work in church ministry, Christian ministry, and so we're deeply concerned with people and helping people navigate through life. And so when I started this channel, I wanted to explore some ideas, and I wanted to, in a sense, lend my voice to the conversation. And I didn't expect really to find community, except that's kind of what I found with Paul. And that's because once you find Paul Vanderklay, like I said, he's a social media, he's a YouTube influencer. He's not that. I don't mean that, Paul. I really don't. Paul is more than that. Paul is a Gandalf. He's a guide along the way. And when I found Paul, I found a community. I found a community of people who are like me, kind of looking for dialogue, searching for answers to what gives life meaning. And it's been very transformative. I think I'm going to have to stick to the title on this one. I change my YouTube titles sometimes based off of the response from the community, the people out there. And I'm looking at this as YouTube changed my life with 0 subs and 2.5 billion in the community. What I mean is, as soon as I posted a video on YouTube, it was transformative for me. My first video, I took the first step, and again, I sort of got more than I bargained for. I think I assumed that somewhere in there, I had something to say that wasn't just noise, that wasn't just going to contribute to the noise on the social media platform, but maybe we could use this to create more than noise. Maybe we could create dialogue, maybe even art. And certainly some people are using it that way. And so I approached it just with that, like, well, what's my contribution? The powerful play goes on, and you can contribute a verse. All the world's a stage, and we're merely players. We have our entrances and our exits, that type of thing. And so I wanted to contribute a verse. And the first few videos, I was sort of laying the foundation for my thinking and how I wanted to approach this YouTube channel. I actually had a channel before this, but I approached this channel in a different way. It was far more personal in some ways. And nobody subscribed to my channel in these first few videos, but I did get some people watching, and I got some comments, and that's it right there. As soon as someone is listening, then a dialogue has begun. And the dialogue is a powerful force for transforming people. I listen to your comments, I hear them in the sense that I read them, and I hear them in my own head. And I go, oh, that's brilliant. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Or sometimes I listen to comments and I go, okay, this person is a hurting, broken person who's lashing out at me for whatever reason. And some of you know that I have a background in classical studies. And in the classical tradition, you have what's called the Great Conversation. And it's a conversation that's been going on for thousands of years. It predates this digital platform that we're using. And so one of the first real videos that I did that I wanted to do, I made these leading up to this Joe Rogan and Adam Curry video. That was my goal. I wanted to engage with their conversation. I thought what they were talking about was meaningful. Adam Curry goes on and he shares his conversion story to Christianity. And I've shared this before, but I just thought that was a pivotal moment on the Joe Rogan Experience, which of course is one of the biggest podcast that has ever existed. And so we're in this space that Paul is talking about, and we're navigating these platforms, and we're searching for community, and there's millions of people listening to Joe Rogan and all kind of maybe feeling the same way. But can we go beyond the Joe Rogan Experience? Can we use these tools to create real community? And to Paul's question and to my question, is it even beyond that? Is the church somehow existing in digital space, in the digital terrain? And my thought there is yes, it certainly can exist far more than any of these other podcasts, I think. Give me your feedback here, because that's, again, part of this channel, is let me know your thoughts. If not, then it's just noise out there, just some guy yelling at my computer on the internet. The church is a community created and held together by the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God is everywhere. The Spirit of God is unencumbered by any sort of geographical boundaries and time boundaries. The community that I'm a part of, that Paul is a part of, is a community that spreads through time, more than just like a family and generationally, but it's similar. And it breaks down barriers of nationality and language. You could look at Acts chapter 2. So there's a real sense of community. And so when I came across this video by Darren Naylor, it caught my eye. And I'm sort of doing this video in a response to his, but when I saw Darren's video, Paul's video popped up at the same time, and that's usually a clue to me that there's more going on. It's more than just a platform. It's more than just an algorithm saying these things. It's like, oh, there's a reason this video popped up, and his channel is small, and I like watching small channels. And of course, this video, because he's talking about YouTube and he's talking about how transformative his YouTube experience is, this video's blowing up. He's got 82,000 views on it. I think when I saw it, it maybe had a few thousand. And if you look through his channel, yeah, everything else is pretty small. I don't know how many subscribers he had. Now he's got 5,000. So YouTube changed my life with only 500 subs. What's going to happen now that you have 5,000, Darren? I wonder, what is the life change that he was talking about? So let's get into this video.
Top social media platform at the time. But there's one thing that's been there almost the longest. It's remained one of the top creator platforms ever since, and that's YouTube. Pretend this chair is YouTube. We've always been aware of it, and we even use it often, sometimes just for entertainment and other times to learn things. But we never really thought about creating on it. It just seemed like a platform to consume.
We never thought about creating on it. It just seemed like a platform to consume. That is key. That is a key, I think, ingredient to what makes engaging in YouTube or any sort of digital media sort of a transformative experience. You are putting yourself out there. You are now an actor in this play. You are embodying something out in the world, even though the way people connect with it is through digital space. One step above that, in my opinion, as a Christian person, the way we connect with each other, the way that's possible, even though we're not in the same physical space, is because the same Spirit unites us. Okay, so that's kind of the thesis that I'm working through.
Has changed over the last few years. People seem to crave relatability, authenticity, and honestly, I think they just like hearing from real people after years and years of influencers and really polished professionals creating on the platform. It just feels like there's more encouragement around just real people telling their story, living their life, just talking about the things that you're doing.
Real people living their lives, talking about the things that they're doing. That's a testimony. Now, again, I'm using sort of churchy Christian language, but if you read the Bible, the testimony of the follower of Jesus is a very powerful one. In fact, at the end, the beast that comes in the end times out of the sea is defeated by the testimony of the people of God, testifying for what the Lamb of God has done, who has sacrificed himself in a loving, self-sacrificial act that conquers death. So we touched on that in the Jordan Peterson Nashville review video. If you haven't watched that, I can leave the link to that. But man, is it the platform? So again, Darren's video is YouTube changed my life? Is it the platform that is transforming you? Certainly, I think it can be. How life-changing is YouTube? I mean, it's, it could be maybe as life-changing as occupational change or getting a degree. I don't know. But is it the platform that's transforming you? Is it the platform that is changing your life? Or is it you? Is it your engagement? You did a thing. And doing a thing is transformative, putting yourself out there. And I also think it's important that we're putting our ideas out there and people are wrestling with those ideas. That goes back to dialogue. There's this Tim Dillon episode that I thought was really interesting. He talks about how famous people and actors and what does he call them? Anyway, he talks about how famous people started doing the podcast thing and it just didn't work because famous people are managed by sort of agencies and stuff like that, and they've got a persona that they've got to put out there and maintain. Otherwise, they're not going to get the next, gig or the next contract or whatever it is. And so they couldn't be real on their podcast. That's what Darren is pointing to. He's saying the thing that's drawing people to these platforms is that sense of real connection to a real person on the other side. That's not nothing. There's something to that. And why, in Tim Dillon's opinion, why are the actors and the superstars not having successful podcasts? Because they can't be real. They can't just share what they really think. They are managed personalities. But these people are real. I mean, we see them as pictures on the screen. But those pictures are images of the real people that we were engaging with. We're having conversation. So we'll see what happens with Darren. I of course, wish him all the best. I think he's got a cool channel. But that changes you, 5,000 subs, that's different. I think that changes you differently than 500. And his next video is done well. And I think this is where we get back to this question that Paul is asking about the church. How does the church operate in a digital landscape? Some social media influencers are just using the platform because they want to make a buck, right? They're chasing the algorithm. This is actually something Darren brings up.
I found myself kind of going down this rabbit hole of I haven't created anything original for myself in months. I haven't painted anything in months because I'm spending so much time just trying to create videos and reels and TikToks that I think will do well. And it's just gotten a really negative headspace where that was kind of my focal point. And a perfect example of that, you've probably seen over the last few years, there's a lot of creators that got famous for following trends or doing things or what have you. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I'm saying it's pretty obvious who's able to just do things on their own and who depends on copying and duplicating and just following trends and stuff like that. Just found that I love this platform because it does feel like there's a bigger emphasis on authenticity and, trying to create stuff your own way. And I think that's the beauty of it. That's a good thing, not a bad thing.
And setting aside the fact that, one of the things that I do is I take other people's content and I create dialogue with it. So in a sense, I don't know, I'm copying it. Hopefully I'm making something that's somewhat original, but I just appreciate that. There's a sense at which you engage with these platforms because you're chasing the trend. If I chase the trend, if I get out in front of the trend, then lots of people will see my videos and people will like and comment, and then I'll feel good about it. And my identity, my purpose, my belonging, those desires are satisfied in some way through that. And yet, I think that, let's go ahead with the estuary. I think that in a way, if your identity, not in a way, this is the point. If your identity and your purpose and your belonging are found not in chasing trends, then you can create content that's meaningful for other people. Then you can put yourself out there and maybe make a genuine connection with somebody on the other side. Now, I think that that's possible because the thing that satisfies me as a Christian person is my relationship to God through the Holy Spirit. I find my identity and my purpose and my belonging in understanding my those things as they relate to my Creator and my role as a creation, a part of His creation. And that my aim, again, going back to the Jordan Peterson conversation, my aim, my upward focus is true worship, genuine worship. So everything I do in life is guided by that. I hope that what we'll start to see is we'll start to see the church using the tools that are in front of us to actually create community on the other side that wouldn't be possible using the platforms the way most people use them, just to chase trends because they're trying to find their identity, their purpose, their belonging inside the platform. And I guess I'll speak specifically to my brothers and sisters in the church here, where we in the church should not dismiss the possibility that the Spirit of God is powerful enough to create genuine community in an online landscape. We've always been trying to use the tools at our disposal to shape and mold community, nation, tribe, for the betterment of the people in those nations, in those communities, in those tribes. And I think the Spirit of God gives the people of God a distinct, I don't say advantage, but a way in which we can uniquely engage with YouTube, with digital platforms, and not be shaped by them, but to shape the tools themselves. That's my thought. Let me know what you think. Look forward to reading the comments. Catch you in the next one.